Hello everybody, I wanted to give you some tips on how I beat Helldiver difficulty, the maximum difficulty, before level 20, which means no railgun, no personal shield gen backpack, as a solo player. Now, I do play exclusively solo, however the tips I go over here should be applicable to every single group size under the sun. Obviously, if I can do it solo, then if you have more people and you guys are all doing roughly the same thing, you know, you should be able to clear it. Regardless. So let's start here, just in case you don't believe me. I am on Helldive difficulty level 9. There should be a video out on my channel if it's not already out of me clearing not just one mission but 3 missions in succession on this difficulty. Again, I am, if you see the bottom left corner, I am level 18, so not even level 20. Let's go over loadouts here first because I'm sure most of you want to know. Figured here was actually an important thing to start with the loadout in general, and then I can go over the specifics of each. So the typical loadout that I would run for every single mission would be something like this. So usually you only get 3 stratagems instead of 4 once you get to higher difficulties. So I'll talk about 3 specifically, and then I'll give you a 4th option as well. So the Eagle 110mm rocket pods, absolutely crazy powerful. These one-shot tanks, that's the only reason I bring them, and that's the only reason you need them. The autocannon is absolutely fantastic. This deals with every other enemy under the sun. It actually deals with the tanks as well. It's that good of a weapon. It does take up your backpack slots, so keep that in mind. You can't run supply pack and autocannon. And then for the 3rd and final one, I would either go EMS strike. The EMS is very useful for dealing with a bunch of enemies that are grouped up, but specifically the Hulks. The Hulk bruisers, for some reason, are like the tankiest enemies in the game and the fastest enemies and the scariest enemies at the same time. They're crazy. So EMS strike really helps you deal with them because their weak spots are very hard to hit, especially as a solo player. So if you're running solo, highly recommend the EMS strike. Don't sleep on it. If you don't have that unlocked yet, you can just use the orbital precision strike instead. So if you have 4 slots, then I would probably take precision for the last one. And some of you might be thinking, oh, where are the sentries? I'll talk about the sentries later once we get into the specifics of the video, but I don't think the sentries are worth it at any point. And then finally for a booster, obviously just run the Hellpod space optimization. Just when you spawn in, you have full stims, full health, full ammo, all that stuff. So that was the loadout I would run for the vast majority of missions. So I'm using the shotgun breaker. This thing is absolutely insane. It's basically a slug shotgun, and by that I mean it has one projectile that shoots very, very fast and very far. It's essentially a DMR. Speaking of DMRs, if you haven't unlocked the breaker, this is from tier 4 of the free warbond. I would recommend you go with the DMR, which is the Diligence. And if you don't have that, just use the regular assault rifle till you get it. So just go from the Diligence into the breaker as soon as you get it. For secondary, this is also from tier 2 of the free warbond. The DMR was tier 2. The machine pistol is what I use for my secondary. It's also tier 2 of the battle pass. And then for grenade, I actually literally just swapped to the impact grenade, but before that I was using just the classic grenade, the regular default grenade that you start with. For armor, I'm just running the light scout armor. If you did not know, armor is currently bugged. Straight up, across the board. Damage in general seems bugged, but especially armor, it just doesn't provide you any benefit for having higher armor value. So run the lightest armor available. The scout reduces the enemy detection range, which is actually pretty dang useful. And then helmet and cape don't give you any stats, so they don't matter. So for armor, I just run the light scout armor. For stratagems, this is also, I'm still experimenting with stuff. Obviously, I haven't played a ton of the game. I think I have like 25, 30 hours at most. But by far, the most useful thing is the autocannon. If you are at least level 10, this is when you unlock the autocannon. You use this thing, and then you never look back. The autocannon is so ridiculously good. I think it deals with every single type of enemy. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it literally deals with every single type of enemy that can spawn. And I should note here that I play exclusively against the bots, but I'm guessing it also would apply to every single bug. I know the Bile Titans, a lot of people are having trouble with the Bile Titans, so maybe it won't be super effective on the Bile, but then again, what is effective on the Bile Titan, you know? Anyway, so autocannon, extremely powerful. You do have to note that if you're a solo player as well, it will take your backpack slot, so you cannot run the supply backpack, which is pretty good. The supply backpack, so keep that in mind, but it's well worth that trade-off. The autocannon is extremely powerful. It is the bread and butter of the higher difficulty runs, especially once you start getting more armored targets showing up. But before that, if you're not level 10, the expendable anti-tank was actually very, very good for me. You get 1 shot. It's a big rocket launcher gets 1 shot. It's actually very powerful. And you get 2 of them when the supply pod comes down. So as long as you're staying within the vicinity of the stratagem that you called in, you get 2 shots with this essentially. It's more than enough, especially because you get the autocannon so early. Level 10 takes no time whatsoever. So by the time you're getting to the higher difficulties, you're probably already level 10. Then you just swap to the autocannon. So before that, I'd recommend the expendable anti-tank. For the orbital cannons, I did unlock the orbital airburst strike, but it actually didn't really feel that useful to me. I'm sure some people disagree with that, but the orbital airburst was not that good, so I don't actually recommend getting that. This is the big boy right here, Eagle 110mm rocket pods. The only reason I took this is because tanks. It literally one-shots the tanks. And it's like a, 2-second call-in time or something? It says 0 seconds. It takes about 2 seconds for the Eagle to actually come in and blow up the target. But it'll just one-shot a tank, straight up. And this is, you get 2 uses, and then it's about a 3.5 minute cooldown or something like that. So absolutely worth it. This 500 kilogram bomb, I got baited by my chat to unlock it. I wouldn't recommend the 500 kilo bomb. It just felt terrible. The blast radius is so small. It's kind of like the Hell Bomb. The Hell Bomb has a surprisingly small blast radius. Cluster Bomb was also okay. It's kind of the equivalent of the Orbital Airburst Strike that I talked about earlier. So maybe you can run that as well. For the other one, I actually started using the Orbital EMS Strike. You start with the Precision Strike unlocked, I believe. If you don't, then I'd recommend this one too. So this is like before you unlock the Eagle 110. Use the Orbital Precision Strike. It's essentially a one-shot to a tank as well. But once I unlock the EMS Strike, it's actually very useful because especially on the higher difficulties, you're going to run in a lot of tanky. So right here on the screen, you saw the bug, the big charger bug, which I know is like everyone's bane of their existence right now in terms of the bug side of things. On the bot side of things, these are called Hulks. The Hulk Bruisers, they will just chase you down. I don't know why, but they are literally the fastest enemies in the entire game. That's not even a joke. With light armor on, they will still catch up to you and start flamethrowing you down. So this is Orbital EMS Strike is extremely useful. It's a massive AoE and it stuns all targets inside for like 15 seconds. I believe it's 15 seconds of stun, which is insane. So the EMS Strike was proved very useful for me while I progressed through the higher difficulties and especially cleared level 9. So definitely recommend that one as well. And then before you unlock the Autocannon, supply pack is extremely good. If you did not know, you can use this as a solo player on keyboard. It's just hit the 5 key, hit number 5, boom, you'll resupply yourself. I don't know what it is on controllers. The grenade launcher was okay for a bit, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. It's just more useful to have an autocannon. It's just straight up. The expendable anti-tank, excuse me, the EAT, that's the acronym, was better than the grenade launcher in my opinion. So, and I think you get them at roughly the same time. So just use the expendable anti-tank. I wouldn't use the grenade launcher. You can only choose one, by the way. Only one weapon on your back. And then the sentries here. Hot take here for me probably, I didn't like the sentries whatsoever. They have way too little ammo and they die very easily. So as you're progressing through, the only thing they're really useful is obviously holding down a point, which would be your extracts in the vast majority of missions. It takes about 2 to 4 minutes to extract, depending on the modifiers there that increases the time. Other than that, it's the destroy bots quest mission. I don't know if there's an equivalent of the bugs, but there's a mission where you just straight up drop in and it's like tower defense. You have to kill 150 enemies and then your mission is done. They were pretty useful for that, sure. But spoilers, those are also the easiest mission types out there by far. So you don't really need the benefits that the sentries provide you. I would actually recommend not going with the sentries whatsoever. And then for the ship modules, I literally didn't unlock any of them. All right, I'm going to cut to some footage here, give you some concrete examples to work with in terms of gameplay, how I actually tackle each mission. And other than that, thank you for watching and be on the lookout for a little more Helldivers 2 action on the channel. All right, so I wanted to talk over this gameplay here so I can give you a better breakdown of what's going on and give you some concise tips. So obviously your loadout's not going to do anything for you if you don't know how to apply it in your runs. So I'll show footage here of me approaching a quest objective. This is literally the most common thing you'll be doing, is approaching a group of enemies that have not yet aggroed on you, and then you have to decide how to engage them. So here, I'm just going for the highest priority targets first. In this case, it was the walkers. This is actually a pretty easy engagement to start with. So the walkers are not very high priority because they're very easy to kill. However, they were the highest enemy here. Other than that, it's just a bunch of regular grunts, you know. So take those out first. Then I see a missile guy back there. Start taking them out. Swap to the railgun. You see I'm swapping weapons all the time. I'm standing behind this rock because rocks are the perfect cover in this game. They cannot be blown up, so you might as well just stand behind rocks, solid cover. You can also walk up the rock to get the high ground, which high ground is a very real advantage in this game. And other than that, you just see me moving all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. You should not be standing still in this game, period. You are going to get killed if you stand still. Always stay on the move. Enemies are going to swarm you left, right, front, and center. You will get snuck up on patrols if you're not paying attention, so never just hold one point. Obviously, you know, this is a caveat for solo play. If you play in a group, you can probably just hold down one location pretty easily. But for solo play, at least, you need to be on the move 24/7, or you will get overwhelmed, period. I don't care what weapons you have, what stratagems you have, you will get overwhelmed if you stand still. So always be on the move. Obviously, situations like this where you're reloading something, you have to make sure that you're in the clear, right? You don't just start reloading unless it's a very desperate scenario. So always make sure you create enough distance between you and the enemies, and then you take a moment to reload something or call in a stratagem or, you know, whatnot. So here's another example, or here's a good example of using the high ground here. So that guy has a way harder time hitting me if I'm just on top of the rock here, because he hits, you know, the bottom 50% just hits the rock instead of me. That's pretty good. It's called head glitching in some other games here. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. I do successfully clear the rest of this. I die here. Look at this, by the way. Watch my cursor. Watch. So I swapped for the autocannon. Boom. That was right on his head. Instead, what it did is shoot the generator right next to me, which blew up, catapulted me, and then I got hit by a rocket in mid-air while I was flying over there. So, devs, can we please have a bug/balance patch, please? That would be very nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, the rest of this engagement is not too bad. It's just you know, a bunch of devastators coming in. I don't think you get a Hulk in this scenario. I'm not really using this as a, you know, full-blown example of what to expect. Everything you can expect in a run. If you would like to see something like that, definitely be on the lookout for a video on my channel where I will condense all 3 successful wins in a row on difficulty 9, the maximum difficulty. So be on the lookout for that if you want more concrete tips to follow. And I guess the last thing here would be taking out a tank. This is a great example of that. So I don't have my stratagems available, which is the Eagle 110mm. Here's what I tried. Don't try this, by the way. It is a good idea to try and mantle the tank. Don't do it on the front like that. You just get run over by the treads. So try not to mantle at the front of the tank. If you can do it, just go on the side or go from the back, and you should be perfectly fine. So this is actually another good example of your hell pod. So right there I got unlucky. My spawn didn't really do anything for me. But your hell pod is actually the most lethal weapon in the entire game. It will literally one-shot everything. Sometimes the hitbox is a bit wonky. Again, devs couldn't get that patch. Thank you very much. Sometimes the hitbox is a bit wonky, but other than that, if your hell pod is near a high target enemy like a tank or a Hulk Bruiser or even like a Devastator or something, just drop right on top of them. You'll one-shot them. It's pretty easy. So you saw right there the tank, the autocannon. I think it's 3. I think I missed one of my shots or it ricocheted. So if you hit the weak spot, which is the back of the turret, not the back of the tank itself, but the back of the turret that swivels, you shoot that 3 times with the autocannon, it'll blow up. I don't know what the railgun is. You can also shoot the treads of the tank, where it actually, you know, the treads where the tires would be, quote unquote, on a car. If you shoot those, I believe it's like 4 or 5 shots, and the tank will blow up. So those are the 2 weak points of a tank. Other than that, again, call in the Eagle 110mm if you're struggling with tanks. That is by far the best stratagem for it. It comes in like 2 seconds, and it always hits the tanks. It prioritizes the most heavily armored target. So definitely recommend that. All right, and then the rest of this is just me completing the objective. Nothing really else happens. So hopefully that helped you guys. If you'd like a more concise breakdown of stuff, like I'm talking about like a 3 to 4 minute video of me just covering stuff, then let me know. Other than that, again, check out the more long form gameplay video of me clearing level 9 difficulty fully. And thank you for watching.